And 60 years ago, a 6-year-old boy in Huntsville broke the barrier of race and paved the way for generations of black and brown children to study with white children in Alabama. Now, I did some digging to capture the sights and sounds of that day and where Huntsville City Schools stands today.
Since we didn't have a chemistry lab at the school, I built me a chemistry lab at my house.
The ingenuity and drive of the late Dr. Sonny Herford III fueled the civil rights movement in Huntsville. So black families in the Rocket City loaded up their cars and drove to Chicago and New York City to shine a light on racial disparities in the Deep South.
We strategized, we protested, we marched, and very, very peaceful. But we got the job done.
The national attention forced local businesses to cave to the pressure. And by 1962, all public facilities were open to all races. But there was still one major hurdle: the school system.
So the kinds of resources that he needed access to get a good education were really lacking.
Dr. Beth Payton recounts the stories her grandfather, Dr. Herford, shared with her of schools with no library, no lunchroom, and surrounded on 3 sides by the city dump.
And you can imagine how hot it gets in Alabama in the summertime. So really thinking about what it would be like to sit in a school and try to learn.
Dr. Herford didn't want any children to experience what he went through, so he enlisted the help of others to go to the school board to fight for better resources.
Eventually they said they'd meet with us and they'd put us last on the agenda, and then they'd do every item on the agenda until they got to our item and then adjourn the meeting.
He then took his fight to federal court and won. On September 3rd, 1963, 4 black students, including Dr. Herford's son, Sonny, were given the green light to enroll in all white schools.
We're told that we could not enter on that day.
Those schools were forced closed by Governor George Wallace. That was a Tuesday. The Herfords were not allowed in Fifth Avenue School until the following Monday, September 9th.
When I finally got to my classroom, and it didn't feel that unusual, because 6-year-olds, for the most part, don't understand that they're not supposed to like people who are different.
But later on, they found out
that members of the Klan followed them home that first day.
The families started receiving threatening phone calls.
My father developed a technique. He would answer the phone and he would say something like, Officer Timpson, Huntsville Police Department. And then the people who, the friends and family, knew to just go ahead and keep talking.
Just 1 week later in Birmingham, the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing.
And 4 precious little girls lost their life. We don't have the physical violence that hit the national and international news that our sister cities in Alabama.
Some believe that's because of Redstone Arsenal.
Because if there were a lot of trouble in Huntsville, a lot of those federal contracts can go someplace else.
The city was undergoing a rebrand of sorts as a high-tech, state-of-the-art city attracting the best minds in the world.
He did not care what color you were, what gender you were, what nationality you were. It's, do you have the skill set to help me achieve the mission?
Dr. Wayman Burke, friend and colleague of Dr. Herford, says Herford's legacy is one of sacrifice. Those heroic steps are commemorated in bronze footprints embedded in the sidewalk of Sonny Herford Elementary School.
It took an incredible amount of courage, not only for the adults to do this, but to make those decisions for their children.
Dr. Payton and William Hampton are on a mission to make sure these stories from the civil rights movement stay alive by providing free digital storytelling tools to bring them to life.
So now every kid in Huntsville, every teacher in Huntsville, every kid in the state of Alabama can watch the story about the desegregation of Alabama.
Pour this into my children, my grandchildren, and others so that future generations can benefit from the sacrifices that those before us have laid out,
For Way 31 News, I am Demetria Green.
And currently, Huntsville City Schools are under a 2015 desegregation order, which demands the district provide equal teaching and learning opportunities within schools. Well, those leaders are slowly chipping away at it. On September 19th, the district will find out whether or not the court agrees. In the meantime, you can find the complete consent order implementation plan and all of the stories from this special series on our website, waytv.com.